I have been super excited to make this tutorial because I am making this for myself. I'm going to be doing it on a Gildan sweatshirt that I got from Jiffy Shirts, which if you haven't ordered from there, some blanks, they are wonderful. I buy kid sizes, adults, t-shirts, sweatshirts, long sleeve t-shirts, but this one I'm going to do on a dark gray sweatshirt. So in this kit, if you've ordered, you can go two different ways. You can buy just the template. If you already have all these items at home and you've already done a few embroidery projects, you probably might not need all of the things, but if you're a beginner, you'll get the template, you'll get the floss. I typically use DMC because it tends not to bleed. And these two I'm using a white for the outline and red for the little heart, and it's a sparkly red, so I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out. You're also going to get a sharp needle to go through the sulky stick and stitch, a pair of travel scissors, and I'm finally getting the hang of how to do that. If you've watched any of my other tutorials, those, a needle threader, and an embroidery hoop. So I'm going to show you how to get started. So for my sweatshirts, I do wash and dry these first, because if you wash and dry them afterwards, you might see some puckering in some of your stitches, which some puckering is not always the easiest thing to avoid, so it definitely can happen. And I don't know if I should put it here or directly in the middle. I feel like it's too small to go right in the middle, so I'm going to kind of go up to this upper, I guess it would be left if you're wearing it, left hand side. So the sulky stick and stitch, if you haven't worked with it in the past, it is a dissolvable in water sticker basically. So what you'll do is you'll peel from the corner and you'll place it where you want it. And I'm just going to put it kind of on like the breast pocket here. So for these, if you've watched any of my tutorials on sweaters, I typically don't use an embroidery hoop, but with DMC floss I do. I don't know why, I just feel like it gives me a little bit extra support and tightness when I'm making the stitches. Very easy to work with because it is smaller. I'm still able to hold and embroider as I need to. So if you've never used one before, they come in two pieces. It tightens righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I loosen it and I pull it apart. So one hoop fits directly inside of the hoop with the screw on it. So to do this, you take the inside hoop and you put it back through inside the sweatshirt. Not behind it, but you're inside it. So you can kind of see the outline of the hoop. And you want to make sure that your piece fits inside. You can always move it around if your piece is too big, but this fits kind of nicely. So then you take, if you need to loosen it a little bit more, you take your top hoop, and I do think I need to loosen it quite a bit more due to the thickness of the sweatshirt, and you push it over top, and then you tighten it again once it's in place. So this is what the inside looks like. And this is what the outside looks like. So it's easy to hold on to when you're coming in and out. So I'm going to start with the white. Little tip, if you look for the barcode and you pull from the side with the barcode, it tends to just come out kind of nice. And I usually pull, I don't know, about a foot or two out to get started. You don't want anything too long. Some people like that and that's okay, but I feel like it gets tangled and it just doesn't work for me. You're going to take one end and double knot. This helps from the thread pulling through. And you take your other side and you're going to put it through your needle. I'm going to show you how to use your needle threader. So if you look for the hole in the eye of the needle, you're going to take this and push it through. So they're connected. It's kind of hard to see, but they're together. And then you're going to take your yarn, try and twist the ends back together so you don't have a lot of frays. And you're going to put it through the eye of the needle holder and kind of just pull through a little. And then you're going to take and pull it through. And now your needle is threaded. You don't have to do that, but it's definitely easier sometimes. Okay, so I started this and didn't like it, so I did pull it out to redo it. It wasn't as straight as I wanted it to be. So you're going to make your first stitch. You're going to go up through the corner here and down less than like 1/4 of an inch. And you've made your first stitch. Then you're going to go down again about 1/4 of an inch. But instead of going forward this way, you're going to go back. Kind of why we call it the back stitch. So then you're going to go to the nearest point to that place you just went up in and go right back down. And this is where I got a little crooked and I didn't like it. So I'm going to go down about another less than 1/4 of an inch. And you can always mark these with a ruler of where you want your points to go in and out with like an erasable or a washable marker. Take a ruler and just go however far apart you want to go. You do want to keep them kind of close together. It just gives it a cleaner look. So I'm going to go all the way through, doing a back stitch. So I'm going to do this outline first, and then I'll show you the lettering and how to do the heart here soon. And you just want to follow the line as best you can. So I've finished going all the way to my Ohio. You can always work your way through all the way and finish, but I'm going to just take a pause. I will come back to Ohio and do it last. And I'm going to show you how to do the whip stitch. So I am down here at the end. You can see this is where I've ended. You've come up through right next to the O and gone back down over here to this next stitch. What you're going to do is you're going to come back up through next to the Ohio, right exactly where your stitches ended. And you're going to pull it all the way through. And this is called the whip stitch. So you are going to go underneath. You can go this way or this way. It doesn't really matter. But you're going to pull through under every single stitch. Okay, so now I've done a whip stitch all the way through back to my starting point. And to end this, I am going to go back through the first stitch that I started. And I'm done. So that's what the whip stitch will look like. So now I'm going to tie it off in the back. I'm going to make a little knot. So this is where I came out. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it under the most recent stitch and pull through. And I've made a little bit of a knot or a little bit of a loop. I want to take my needle, go under that loop and pull it tight. I'm going to do it one more time just to make a double knot. I'm going to go under pick it up. I've made a loop under my loop, and I'm gonna double knot it. So then I'm done. Okay, so now I'm gonna skip the Ohio, and I'm gonna kind of start right at the end here and do the exact same thing that I did over here. I'm gonna outline the whole thing, and then I'm gonna go back through and do a whip stitch. So I start here again and pull my string all the way through, and then it's kind of hard to see on here, but I'm gonna go down through following that line. And then I'm gonna go just about 1/4 of an inch less than down again. So I'm not touching that first stitch, I went down a little bit. And now I'm gonna go backwards. Back through here. And again, I'm gonna do that following the pattern. Okay, so now I wanted to show you, again, I started here, I didn't want to do the Ohio quite yet, I'll do that last. And I wanted to show you, I went around the edge, just following the line. And now I'm back to this corner. So I'm going to pull through, and I'm going to finish that stitch going back. Okay, so now I have my full outline. And now I'm going to do the whip stitch, where I go back to this corner, if I can find it, up through where I was, and then I'm just going to wrap it. You want to make sure you don't miss any either, because that'll create kind of a loose stitch that could get snagged and pulled. So you want to make sure, and you don't want to pull it too tight. You just want to pull just enough so it fits snugly underneath. And I'm working with all 6 threads. You can definitely split these to make it thinner, but I like the look of this thicker, especially for the outline. I feel like it just makes it show up a little bit better. So I'm going to show you all the way to this corner. And I usually don't wrap it around the corners. I end and then I start new. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Just gives it a cleaner, more pointed look. If it was like a kind of these rounded, I just keep going. But for the sharp points, or the sharp angles, sorry, I came out of camera there. Okay, so I go around this last one, and I'm going to finish it. I'm going to go down through the very corner. You can see that. Then I'm going to pull it through. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. And now I'm going to go back to the back. You can see, and I'm going to tie it off in a knot like I did earlier. So I'm going to make my little loop. I'm going to put my needle through, and I'm going to pull it tight. I'm also holding onto the front with my finger while I do this, so when I pull, it doesn't pull the stitches. All right. So now I'm going to start back in this corner. gonna go upside down so I can see a little better. And I'm just gonna start right at that corner. Can you see that? There we go. And I've put another knot in the back, so it just, I'll show you what that looks like when you pull it. So it just holds it tight there. And now I'm gonna whip the rest of this. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and work on the Ohio. But I wanna do that, I wanna make it a little bit thinner. So what I've done is I've split my strings in half. And I'm gonna show you the best way to do that. I'm gonna try and do it here so it's easier to see. So I split it, there's 6 strings total. I've split it into 2 sets of 3, and I'm just gonna embroider with 3, but I'll show you real quick how to do that. You just grab by the top, and if you want to, it's very easy to get it tangled, so you have to be very careful. You wanna make sure it doesn't pull up. So you're just gonna slowly pull them apart all the way till you get to the end. And so I intentionally went faster at the end, and that's when it knotted. So you just pull it back a little bit, and you just want to go really slow. And I have split it. So I am going to go with 3 this time. Make it a little thinner, a little cleaner. So now I've knotted and threaded my needle. I'm going to start on that Ohio. And when you do letters, do them the way you would write them without overlapping. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go around like this. Then I'll start here, start up here, go down, and then I'm going to start here. I'm not going to overlap it, but then I'll go around. I'll start at the top of my I, and then I'll do my O, and then I will go back and do a little French knot. So I'm going to show you, we're going to do the same back stitch on this. So I'm going to start right here. And the smaller you do, the cleaner it looks. So try not to get too far ahead of yourself, especially on these curves. Again, start a little bit further down. And I'm going to give you enough thread that if you mess up, it's not a big deal. You can cut it out and try again. Because letters aren't the easiest thing to do. So definitely give yourself a little grace with that. Just want to make sure you follow that line and continue to go back. Especially on those curves. Don't want to give it too much.
Yeah, the red one. Yeah, it's a pair of pants.
Okay. So again, just doing exactly what you were doing on the framing of the state. And these are a lot closer than the outside. So maybe a little bit more difficult to get through. Okay, so I finished the outline and then doing the whip stitch on them, but I wanted to show you how I'm going to dot my eye. So if you've seen some of my other videos, they do show how to do a French knot. And so I'm going to scroll in a little bit so you can see a little better. So you're going to take your needle, and I always wrap to the left of my string, but you're going to wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, and then you're going to come up and around and back down in that same hole, and you're going to pull all the way through, and it gives you just a little knot. Okay, so now I'm going to do my heart. I originally had this super sparkly, shiny red thread, and I was super excited about it, but it was very coarse and it actually did not work out very well. So I've gone back to just the normal DMC red. So I'm putting a hole in the knot in the back. And actually, I think instead of doing that, I'm going to double it up because I kind of want the heart to be a little bit thick. So you can see I've pulled all the way through, halfway through the string, and folded it in half, and now I'm going to tie the end. I'm just going to cut this tail off because it's kind of long. And so with that string folded in half, knotted together in the back, I'm going to start on my heart. And you can see I tried it a couple times and took it out because I did not like how that other thread was working. So I've gone, you go to your bottom point and you pull all the way up. And if you've seen some of my other videos, this is the same exact thing as a lazy daisy stitch, but instead of making a full flower for 5, we're just going to do the 2 humps of the heart. So you come up through at the bottom point and back down through that hole, and you're going to hold it so you have this loop, and you're going to go to the left top bump of the heart, and you're going to wrap your hoop around it, and then you're going to pull it all the way through. So you have the first side of your heart. So in a lazy daisy stitch, you're going to come to the outside of this hoop, right at the top point, and go back down through and pull all the way until you have the left side of your heart. And then come back to that point where you started the first lazy daisy stitch. Come all the way up, back down through, but still holding with your thumb all the way till you've made your loop. And then you're going to come to the right side of your hoop, or your heart, right at the top bump. And you're going to wrap your hoop around it, grab your needle, and pull it through. And again, just over top of that last loop, the very tip, pulling all the way through. And you've got your heart. So I'm going to just tie it off here in the back. I'm going to do a double knot. So coming through this bottom stitch, I am basically just making my own loop. And I've pulled this through, and then I want to go inside this loop and pull tight until I've knotted it. And I'm going to do that twice. Until that is completely knotted. And you have made your Ohio. So the next step is you're going to take off your hoop, and I'm going to show you how to get rid of that sulky stick and stitch. So you're going to take your garment, You're just gonna push it into some warm water. Kind of just work around it, let it dissolve. And you're finished. Look how nice that turned out.